Hello, today's question from an IT leader is it agile if I tell my teams what to do? Try not to get you on your soapbox.
I brought an extra big soapbox for this one, I think. I smiled when I read this question, and partly because there's a lot of misconceptions still around agility, and whether or not you have to be a certain thing in order to get somewhere. Maybe I've been through some of the ringer myself in the way I thought about Agile in the first place, and that's perhaps why I've got to where I've got to now in my thinking. So I'll get the medium soapbox out. So Agile, or agility, at its core, is fundamentally about value, and is about creating that value or creating those results, whether they're commercial or anything else, even though you're operating in a very complex, changeable, unpredictable environment. So if you're working in an environment where things are predictable, you know what the quality coming in is, you know that you can have a fixed process, that you'll get quality out the other side, awesome. Then you don't need the core principles of Agile around experimentation and iteration because you've got a known route. However, in a complex environment, you do need to, or rather you are better served by allowing the voices, the brains, the capability of all of the people involved to be participants and help the general direction and the leadership, or so to speak, of a team. This is why when you ask that question to some people, of is it okay if I tell my teams what to do, they'll kind of shrink back, because that immediately starts to show that more top-down view of the world. The thing is, though, you come back to the definition of Agile being about value. If the most valuable thing to do to achieve the results or to help your organisation get to a particular destination is to tell your teams what to do, or to tell your teams specifically about a thing, then that may be completely okay. If it's a habit where you're forever telling your teams what to do, then I would argue that that isn't. And that's not embracing the concepts of, or the capabilities of your whole team. So just want to qualify, come back to telling the teams what to do. I'm particularly referring to things like boundary conditions. So where are they, the team heading, how much money have they got, making the decisions that make, or rather will have an impact to that team. I'm not talking about telling the teams, how to write that particular line of code or which operating system that they should use over here. But it's where the system is going to lose out if you don't clarify something or don't push.
But maybe, so it reminds me a little bit of a pinball machine. So you could have a pinball just going round and round and round and round and round and round, just not going anywhere.
You play better than me.
Because it's a bit stuck.
That's how you're supposed to play.
But the point is that sometimes maybe it's not the phrase of telling, but it's creating. Sometimes it's about that nudge too. So giving your teams a little nudge, or just facilitating those conversations, because otherwise it's just going to be going round in circles. And as much as self-organising teams and all that is brilliant, sometimes you don't have all the time in the world, and maybe you don't have all the expertise in that team, and sometimes you might need to just help facilitate it or give it a little nudge. You're not telling them what to do in the sense that I know best. You're, like you talked about the boundaries, you're creating that environment where you can go in and not be the, here comes the cavalry. That doesn't work either. Yeah. It's creating those nudges, helping your teams to perform at their best in that situation, because otherwise sometimes you just won't move forward.
No, and that's exactly it. So I'd be very concerned if there was, as I said, if there's a habit in here, but we're not talking about a habit. We're talking about in the pursuit of value, then different people need to respond and act in different ways occasionally. Leadership is situational. Thank you, Ken Blanchard. Leadership really is situational, and I think that applies very much to agile environments, and we forget that. Sometimes you do need to be clear or rather tell somebody something in order to unblock and move on to the next stage.
Should we talk about mindset a little bit? Because if you are having that mindset of agility, it isn't just suffering in silence either, or one of the team members blustering around the office, swearing and blinding because they're stuck and nobody's helping them. You're not going to leave them to fester either.
No.
It's you're in that learning environment together, and you've got to help people move forward.
Yeah, quite. I was just thinking about that point about mindset. Part of the controversy, if there is any in this question, comes from the implication that the leader is telling the team what to do. If you said that a product owner, as part of an agile development team, let's say, or a scrum team, was telling the team in which direction to go, no one would bat an eyelid, because that's their role. And this is kind of the point. There needs to be some leadership and some direction, no matter how agile a team is. A completely consensus-driven team may be good, but sometimes it's very difficult to reach consensus in time. I feel like I've just, maybe I did take the big soapbox out a bit on this one. Is it okay, or is it agile if I tell my teams what to do? Yes, with some caveats around the fact about it being habitual, or you causing teams to become reliant on a particular direction or a particular way of working. But is it agile? Yes, it absolutely is, if it moves you faster towards results and you learn something from it.
Super. So soapbox removed. We hope that gives you some tips. If you have any questions or comments about what we've said, or want to know more, please do get in touch or comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again.